Hello and welcome to another update video about the NASDAQ. Obviously, I'm not covering the NASDAQ here like in a plan or anything. It is just completely free here on YouTube. More or less regular updates whenever I can fit it in. I think NASDAQ is currently at a critical juncture, so it's worth covering it. Let's start here on the, I'm gonna zoom out a little bit. Let's start on the bigger picture. We start with this wave 4 swing low in 2022. On many of the indices, I tend to count many of these as ending diagonal patterns from the 2022 lows. We, for example, here on the NASDAQ have an ABC in wave 1, in that larger degree fifth wave. Wave 1 ABC in wave 1, which topped in 2023 at around 13,000 points. Then we had the wave 2 pullback to around about 11,800. A third wave also in an ABC structure, which topped at around 16,080. Fourth wave pullback here into the October lows 2023. And then this very, very much extended fifth wave to the upside. And the question is how do we count this fifth wave? Basically what it indicates that we're very close to really a long-term top. We could have topped already, and this is just an overshooting B wave. We're going to talk about that in this video. But the bottom line is that we now need obviously some kind of a break of support in order to indicate that this larger degree fourth wave has started. This would be a major correction, which probably has some good support, might find some good support, one second, in this region of the previous 2022 low, sort of roundabout, and this is not, accurately measured now, but I also tend to recall that there are some Fibonacci levels that point into that $10,000 region, $11,000 region. So that is quite substantial, that correction that could follow. We just haven't clearly topped yet, and I've been watching also my previous updates for signals of a potential top. I highlighted to you that I am leaning towards the top being in. At least I haven't called the top yet, but I'm watching for evidence. That evidence hasn't materialized yet. So again, it remains my view that we need a break below support to be able to, let's say, call a top in place. And I'm going to zoom in a minute and take a look at that with you. Zoomed into the 4-hour chart. There are two ways how this fifth wave to the upside from the October 2023 low can be counted and interpreted. So in one scenario, I'm looking at ABC. Obviously, that's the idea. I mean, it's an ABC move. Quick reminder, the entire move up from the October 22 low is an ending diagonal. So I'm dealing, as you can see here, with ABC structures in the subwaves. So it's just that the challenge is on many of the indices, the S&P as well, that this messy structure from the 2023 low, it is so unusual, especially with that deep, very shallow pullback in the B wave. So best I can tell you is that this is an AB, and we're now moving up in a C wave. Okay, and that might change. The bottom line is I'm gonna, until we have a break of support levels, there is no top in place, right? But it is possible to count this as a C wave that's currently unfolding in that fifth wave. And there are two ways of counting this. In the first one, I'm labeling this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That so far has been my preferred scenario. And it kind of still is, but I can also tell you that the yellow count is definitely a reasonable and plausible alternative. And it's nearly 50-50 among them, In practice, it doesn't make much difference. But in the yellow count, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the reason why I'm bringing this yellow count onto the chart is due to this high or this strong rally from the April lows. It could be a high B wave. We know that B waves can overshoot. I say that all the time when we're dealing with B waves. But obviously, the fact that it's broken above the recent high makes me consider that maybe we're still in that rally here to the upside. But we're now in a resistance area for both the B wave and also the wave 5. So it could literally top in this region. But again, we need a break of support, and we're going to take a look at that right now. So hopefully that's clear, but it means that as soon as we have a top, this is sort of the roadmap. And again, B waves have the tendency to overshoot in all these Yeah, disregard the timeline. I mean, that is literally, I can't tell you how long this is going to take. So looking at the 1 hour chart then, I can highlight that this is just a 3-wave move to the upside so far. So for me, that could definitely in the wide count still be an A wave in 3 waves, then the B wave pullback, and then here that C wave to the upside, which could be part of that B wave, an overshooting B wave. Absolutely possible. The micro counting here doesn't really make much sense. Best count I've got is that obviously we need to start here at the May low basically. Yeah, May low, and then best count I have at the moment for this chart is that we say, okay, we have a wave 1 here, we have a wave 2 here. This here could be 3, 4, 5. But again, it takes a break of support really. There are also other ways, you know, I could easily place the 1, 2 here. That's another way of doing it. Okay, it's just depending on how you count that. That's not so important really. What we need to figure out is what is the key support that basically now needs to break, and I'm going to talk about that right now. Please bear in mind that this wave 5 can still extend higher, no problem, until we have break of support. Even that B wave could extend higher. I've highlighted the standard resistance ranges for overshooting B waves. Next resistances are 19,124 and 19,373. And 2 additional fib levels that could be relevant for the yellow count here. 19,086. You can see there's a good overlap with the 1.236 fib retracement. And then 19,653. These would be the next upside levels. If we take a look at this first and say, okay, you know, so I cannot rule out that in the yellow count that this is obviously a 5-wave move up. So we have to put onto the chart the yellow count as well. That will give us support. That's why we have it. Literally not to predict, but to understand what is support. And I have to assume that this yellow 5th wave is again an ending diagonal. And that means I have to put onto the chart the support region for a 4th wave, because this is literally the area that could be tested in any pullback now, and we could still rally. And that's the 61.8 retracement. That's the lowest support I would normally accept for a wave 4 in a diagonal here in yellow. And that level is 18,000. That means if we see a 5-wave move below 18,000, that would indicate that the top is in place. Going to the 30-minute chart, you can see a bit of a bear flag there, but only 3 waves down. So let's label how would it look like if a top is already in? Is it actually likely? Oops. On the SPX, at least, we've broken micro support, but as I said, also in the SPX update, I need 5 waves down for something clear. And this is already getting quite protracted for the 4th, so it looks a bit more like a 3-wave move down. And it's also trying to cut into the wave 1 price region. So I don't really have a very clear 5-wave move down. This starts to look like 3 down. This is obviously just sort of where we say, okay, we want to see 5 waves as a first signal. Don't have them at the moment, but the rally looks corrective at the moment. It might just be A, B, C, and that keeps the door open for higher prices. Okay, so but if this larger 3-wave move then turns into a 5-wave move, maybe a first diagonal down, well, and especially if it breaks below support or goes down very deep. I mean, if it's 5-wave move down of this size, it would be enough for me to say, okay, we've more likely than not, we've now topped. At the moment, I'm just simply watching for signals. For example, a first 5-wave move down followed by a 3-wave rally would be a short trade setup. If I only have 3 waves down, there is not really any reliable short trade setup, for example. Yeah? So all I say is at the moment, let's see if the price can get into the support region. If it's in 3 waves, there's even an opportunity for another move up. Of course, it could even move up from here. Then we're not even in this larger degree 4th wave, most likely. So bottom line is, as long as it's only 3 waves down, yeah, against 18,000, the focus could still be on higher prices to one of these next upside fib levels that I mentioned. Hope that helps. That gives you all the levels. Hope you liked the update. If you did, please hit the like button, leave a comment, and subscribe. And if you're interested in daily updates about the S&P 500, as well as regular updates about stocks, then feel free to check out the stocks and S&P 500 service. You'll find a link in the description. Thanks a lot for watching. Bye-bye.